Bitcoiners, how are you? Boom, boom, boom. All right, guys, come on in. Come on in. Make yourselves comfortable. Another live Q&A session. Yes. Come on in, guys. Make yourselves comfortable. Grab the beverage of your choice. Yes. Yeah, come on in, guys. Welcome to another live Q&A session with a Bitcoin Q&A session. Oliver Velez. My name is Oliver Velez. Hey. Hope you're all doing well. Calvin says, buying those dips. Yeah, those dips are Bitcoin's benevolence, yes? Benevolence at work. Benevolence at work. All right, guys. Cal says it's not a stream unless he says Calvin. Calvin's at all of these things. I appreciate that, though. I appreciate that. JC says Bacardi is what we drink and buy Bitcoin. All right. All right, guys. So what's on your mind? What's on your mind today? What's going on? Bitcoin currently at USD denominated price, exchange rate of 65,719, more or less. And, well, quite windy outside. And let's see, where are we? Let's see where we are here, guys. We are at block 4,692. You got approximately 32 days before the halving, which right now is scheduled to occur on April 40th. What a day, right? 420. If the halving takes place on 420, we're definitely in a simulation, right? It's crazy. Crazy on this day or around this day, more or less. Bitcoin becomes the hardest asset the world has ever encountered, becomes the hardest money that human beings have ever been exposed to. And for the first time, a truly global money. I can't really say that I can't really say that throughout history, there's ever been a global money. I would say that your metals have come the closest, like gold has come the closest throughout history of being a truly global money. But its accessibility globally is not what Bitcoin's accessibility globally is. And I know there are some concentrated efforts on the part of nation states to make it very difficult for individuals to gain access through traditional on-ramps to get Bitcoin. But that really doesn't do anything to quell Bitcoin's global nature, because I can send Bitcoin to anyone on planet Earth and no one can do anything about it. You can receive Bitcoin from anyone on planet Earth and not a single soul can do anything about it. And this has not been the case with gold. As global in nature as gold was, it doesn't come close to being as global as Bitcoin. So for the first time, the hardest asset the world has ever known and the hardest money human beings have ever had access to, we have freely, without any control, without any permission. And that is truly something. That's more than something. And what's really interesting is that the vast majority of the world is still sleeping on this fact. Now, when we say hard. Some people may not truly understand what hard means. When we use the word hard as it relates to an asset or a money, we're really sort of talking about, in a general sense, how hard it is to create more. And so when something is extraordinarily easy to create more of, its value sinks, or its value remains low, or it becomes lower and lower. The harder it is to create more of something, the more value it has. So this is where, limited edition things are supposed to retain a certain value, because it's very difficult to get another one, a new one, right? Wow, guys, this wind where I am is, I'm going to have to close the door. I'll be right back. Right? Stay right there. Crazy. A little bit of a windstorm here, so I had to close some windows. So yes, this hardness, right? This hardness is very unique for most assets. Now, gold has, I don't know if you can hear that, guys, but gold has had a hardness that has historically been very high. And we monitor, or the metric that we use for commodity hardness is something called stock to flow. And so stock to flow, as many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this, but stock to flow is basically a metric that measures what's the ratio between new, for instance, in the case of gold, new gold flowing into the world versus the existing stock that is already available to the world. Okay. So gold's stock to flow historically has been in the area of, let me just see if I can find this. Gold's stock to flow is around 59. Okay. That's gold's current, more or less, stock to flow, which in a great way of looking at this metric, right? This stock to flow metric is, loosely, you can say it will take 59 years to actually double the supply, the existing supply of gold. So gold has a stock to flow of 59. It would take approximately 59 years to double the supply of gold. That's a neat little way to look at stock to flow. Well, I believe that Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, its stock to flow is just slightly less than that currently. And let's see. And we're talking about maybe, I can't get the number here now, but maybe it's something along the lines of 54 or something like that. So gold being a slightly higher at current levels. Okay. And guys, I see Bitcoin's dropping here a little bit. I might have to do a little smash buy here, right now. Yes. So see if I can do a little smash buy here on Bitcoin. Why not? And after April 20th, more or less, right? You have Bitcoin's stock to flow rockets to something close to 118. Oh my God. So we go from like 54 to 118. So again, looking at that metric, it's a cool way of looking at the metric. It take 118 years to double the supply of Bitcoin. Now, we know that's not really true with Bitcoin because its issuance rate is baked into the code. And no matter how much mining you do, you can't speed that up, right? unlike gold or any other commodity that the world has ever been exposed to. But it's fascinating. And I get these conflicting numbers on what the stock to flow regarding real estate is, but I've heard it was something like 100, right? So in one fell swoop on one day, due to the halving, Bitcoin catapults in one fell swoop beyond gold, beyond real estate's historical stock to flow, becoming the hardest asset the world has ever known, the hardest money the world has ever had access to, a money that cannot be controlled, manipulated, or influenced in any way by a single human being on planet Earth. But at the same time, it's available to every single human being on Earth. And I want to touch upon this because, and I have so on a variety of different occasions, but every chance I get to, I think, correct this erroneous narrative, I do every time I think about it. There is this confusion between scarcity. Bitcoin is very scarce, right? There's this erroneous idea that something that is widely available can't be scarce. So they confuse scarcity with availability, and this is incorrect. Okay, water is widely available, but it's still scarce for the most part on planet Earth. All right. Availability is uniquely different from scarcity itself. So I think we need to be careful about, how we use those words in an interchangeable way, and they shouldn't be used interchangeably. Right. So very fascinating, guys. It's a great time to be alive, to witness this. I will be having a live having party with my guys. We're going to be online together as this happens. Online party with Bitcoiners from all over the world. So I'm excited. Yes. All right. Well, let's see, guys. Very huge outflows today from GBTC. So I'm sure a lot of this has to do with this. This move to the downside here. And I say bring it. I say bring on Bitcoin's benevolence. I say give us the ability to continue to stack before the fireworks really truly begin, before Bitcoin truly catapults itself into the number one spot as far as being the hardest asset and the hardest money ever in the history of mankind. Give us these cheaper sats. I say let Bitcoin do its thing to shake off all of those who really should not have their hands on Bitcoin. Shake off the leeches, shake off the fleas, shake off the ticks. Let's get rid of the fraud in the system. Let's wipe out all of this stuff connected to Gemini and everything else, guys. Let me see if I can close this a little bit more here. Let's get rid of all of these things. Every single time Bitcoin catches a cold, to use an analogy, the rest of the ecosystem has a pandemic. And so it's one of the ways that it cleanses out the nonsense, the degenerate traders, the ARB guys with their fancy little trading positions that are just really trying to not manipulate, but, hitch a ride on Bitcoin's movement and its volatility. These are people that don't, in my opinion, deserve to have any rewards from Bitcoin. They are disrespecting it as far as I'm concerned, and they're missing the whole freaking point that it is freedom for the human race in more ways than one. So Yeah, these dips, I gladly go through a dip that wipes out a lot of this nonsense. And I think that's what we're experiencing now. We are still largely ahead of schedule. Bitcoin is trading higher than it typically does. Uh, Much higher than it ever has in history at this particular point in the cycle, this many days before the halving. So we are way ahead of schedule. All right. So, all right. Love the red days. Yes. Love the red days. H. That's right. When will Bitcoin rebound? When it rebounds, I'll let you know. Let you know. Let's not rush these things. Let's not rush these things, guys. All right. Let's not rush these things. You know, it's funny. It's easy to identify those who are relatively new to Bitcoin because they want price appreciation more than anything else, despite the fact that they're new and have a small position in it. But if you've gone through a full cycle or more in Bitcoin, you don't want to rush price advances because all it does is outprice your ability to build your future generational wealth in the asset. And so there's a bittersweet. It's not that you don't want the price value to rise. That's not really the case. But if you've been in Bitcoin for a cycle or more, you have had that experience where the price has catapulted you to a completely different stratosphere, and all you experience is regret. Do you understand? That you did not do it bigger. You did not do it harder. You did not stack as much. That regret, never leaves you. Never leaves you. All right. It's something that will live with you in varying degrees for the rest of your life. It's the same regret that you experience if you ever get rid of Bitcoin or sell it for something that you realize 8 months down the line, 2 years down the line, what did I do? Like, what was I thinking? And that's a regret that stays with you for the rest of your life. All right. Don't rush these things. We're good. We're good. All right. I'm actually a tiny bit disappointed that the pullback is not so far anyway. It's not as it's not as deep as I would like. Throughout Bitcoin's history, in its bull markets, its average pullback is about, it ranges between 30 and 38%. That's an average pullback in a bull market, right? We're not 38% down from the highs yet. Do you understand what I'm saying? So these are very, very mild, historically speaking, for Bitcoin. And I think that might be something that we're going to be living with for a while, that its bear markets won't be as deep, I don't believe. And I believe that its bear markets, and I use that word just because of linguistic convenience, right? I don't really believe Bitcoin has bear markets, but okay. But Bitcoin's 1 year decline, historical 1 year decline, that it has every 4 years, I just don't think that decline is going to be anywhere near what it has been in the past. Now, I think it's important to understand that every single decline has been less than the previous decline. This is throughout all of Bitcoin's life. Every single bear market decline is less. Okay. And so I think this decline is going to be potentially more dramatically less than the historical norm of less. So Bitcoin typically has, on average, dropped about 5% less than the previous decline. All right, more or less 5%. So it's gained 5% as far as its declines. And I think that this decline that will come, I don't know, 2026 or so, I think it's going to be a lot more shallow, by much more than by 5%. That's my take. Anyway, we'll see. All right. All right, guys. So what have you got for me here? All right. Yeah, James Trasher. Oklahoma just approved a $100 million data center. Awesome. Bitcoin country. I'll take it. I will take it. Yes. All right. Pump it, please. No. No. First, Juan, Bitcoin. Oliver, have you taken a look at Giovanni's Power Law? Yeah, I have taken a look at it. To be honest with you, I have not really done a deep dive with it. But guys, I really have to check this. I'll be right back. One more time. Got to check this. I think we're good. I just want to check. I haven't done a real deep dive on it, and I will. There's been quite a bit of, I think, talk about the power law in conjunction with Plan B's original stock to flow model, which I think is his best model. And, the thing that I think a lot of people sort of get too tied up into some of the minutia and the details and the this and the that. The thing that we have to just pull from these things is that they're both directionally right. And that's it. I mean, everything that we do as far as attempting to project or come up with a framework for possible price appreciation in the future, is always a bit of tea leaf reading. There's a tea leaf reading aspect to it, right? I mean, we're really trying to model the future. And we just, as human beings, Providence Providence is not given the human being the ability to see dramatically beyond his nose, right? And so we're designed to live more rooted in the now. And this is where the human being's power stems from. It stems from the now. So our certainty is in the now. Our highest level of certainty is in the now. And the further we move away from the now, the less certain we are as a being. So what is Providence telling us? That we should live more rooted right here, right now. All right. Or what I would consider to be our relative now. If I were to ask you where you would be, where are you going to be 5 years from now on this very day, this very hour, you'd have no freaking clue. Uncertainty at its highest level. If I were to ask you where you would be 5 months from now on this day, this hour, you'd probably still have no clue. Would you have a slight better chance of getting that right? Yeah, because maybe on this day you have a wedding scheduled or something like that. But still, you'd probably get that wrong most of the time. If I were to ask you where you would be 5 minutes from now, guess what? You'd get that right every single 5 minutes of your entire life. You want to live a life of certainty where there is zero fear and 100% accuracy and correctness? Live your life 5 minutes at a time, right? And so I say all of that to say, when we take on these tasks of trying to create a framework for something way beyond 5 minutes, way beyond 5 months, 5 years, whatever, the further and further we get away from our relative now, the greater the uncertainty and the higher the propensity for us to be wrong. All right. And so these things are fun. And but I think some people take these frameworks too serious and they approach them as if they're religions in a way. And I just think that's silly. All right. Nothing wrong with having a framework for the future. And I think in order to have one, you do have to use the past. And while the past is no guarantee of the future, it is the only thing that we have to use as a reference point. We have to use history as a way of projecting probabilities of what might happen in the future. We have to use the past. And there's this old saying my grandmother used to always say, Oliver, how do you know where you're going if you don't know where you've come from? You got to know your history, Oliver. She used to tell me. You got to know where you've come from, because that gives you some guide as to where you're going. All right. And so, yeah, we use Bitcoin's past. We don't have a lot of data points because Bitcoin is only 15 years old. In the grand scheme of global assets, it's a baby. It's a baby. And we are so early in almost every possible way you can think of. Early as far as an asset's concerned in terms of years. We are early as far as adoption. We are early as far as awareness. We are early in every single conceivable metric you can possibly come up with. And we're early and we're blessed. We're blessed, and we should consider ourselves very fortunate that we are early, because not many human beings get the opportunity to experience the paradigm shifts of something. And during the evolutionary process of man, there are these major paradigm shifts that take place, maybe once every 1,000 years or something like that. And we're living through one now, which is really pretty amazing. All right, pretty amazing. But no need to rush this, guys. No need to rush this. All right. I am a 3/4 cycler, almost a full cycle now. Awesome. Awesome. I wonder how we can get caught up and wrapped up into the Bitcoin Twitter ecosystem, right? We can get wrapped up into the community to the point where it warps our true sense of how unique and rare we are. If you're a Bitcoiner, you're one of the rarest breeds on planet Earth right now. If you have one Bitcoin, you're even rarer. And will become increasingly more rare as time goes on. We're just super early, guys. We're super early. We're super early. All right. All right. What else, guys? What else? What else are we dealing with here? What have you got for me? Yes. Good morning from Indonesia, Diego. All right. Yeah. Just one. Just one. There are about I think I heard this number recently. Right? How many full Bitcoiners exist in the world today? More or less. I didn't come up with this number. I saw this number recently. Let me see if I can find this here. 235,000 people in the world. 235,200 some odd people in the entire world. Guys, that's not even a freaking town. That's not even a town. It's crazy. So yes, you are extraordinarily rare. You're extraordinarily rare as a whole coiner. Um, the rarity of that will only increase as time goes on. It's a status that I would not want to lose. It's a status that I would not want to lose. Yeah. Crazy, right? Insane. Okay. How do I view master trader or MicroStrategy? I think that what Michael Saylor has done with MicroStrategy is going to be in the history books. I think it's going to be a business model that is studied for decades upon decades upon decades. Right now, he is a global star, sort of like this in a way, this renegade, new age individual who is basically bold, brash, but in the most intelligent way, and the world has to just sit by and watch him do what he does. I think it's important also to understand, however, that a stock is not Bitcoin. All right. I don't care how much MicroStrategy, how much Bitcoin MicroStrategy gets its hands on. It's still not Bitcoin. So it's a stock. And so you have to understand that we're talking about freedom and a stock. Okay. There are things we can do with a stock, but don't get it twisted. There's no, should I do MicroStrategy or Bitcoin? That's dumb. Absolutely dumb. Okay. They're completely different. You want to be free from a failing system, and Bitcoin delivers that freedom. All right. Okay. All right, guys, what else? I don't see many questions here. I will say this. I am finding that in my talks to people, my dealings with people, even amongst Bitcoiners, I have this sense that most people are truly underestimating how crazy things can get here, guys. I just think there's this huge underestimation of how wild things can get. I've been pounding the table for a year, maybe slightly more than that here, just pounding the table on how your time is running out. Your opportunity is leaving you as we speak, that the window is closing on you. This cycle is going to take Bitcoin away from you. Do you understand this? It is going to leave your financial capability to grab major chunks of it. The window of time that you have is very short. At $65,000, Bitcoin is nearly the average household income of the richest country in the world, the United States. If I'm not mistaken, the average income is around 74,000 and change, right? Let's call it 75,000. Bitcoin is nearly flipping the average income, annual income of a family in the richest country in the world. What Bitcoin is going to do this cycle is leave the entire world behind, most of the world behind. At $65,000 a coin now, how many people in the world truly can get their hands on one Bitcoin? How many have the financial wherewithal to do that today? What percentage do you think? It's very small. Even people of means may not be able to. Because if you think about it, who's got that amount just free and available? This cycle, single-digit millionaires will be priced out of Bitcoin. Single-digit millionaires this cycle will be priced out of Bitcoin. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that, especially if they're not millionaires, right? A lot of people, they don't understand that when you've got somebody who's worth $4 million, $5 million, $6 million, it's not like they've got a lot of just millions. They've got that in cash. They've got a business that's worth $3 million. That's not cash. That business helps support their life. They might have a $600,000 401k plan locked away somewhere. You know, they might have a little stock portfolio of $125,000, and they're valued at $5 million. But where's the cash? Where do they have $70,000, $75,000, $100,000? Where will they have $300,000 sitting around to get one Bitcoin that's just available and free? People don't understand that we're outpricing millionaires now. And at $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of Bitcoin, you're pricing out the majority of millionaires on Earth. They can't do it. The majority of millionaires are single-digit millionaires. They can't put $300,000 into something, one thing. They don't have it. They're worth 6 million, but they don't have that. Do you understand? And so I'm telling you that your window of opportunity is disappearing every second of the day. We could wake up one day and Bitcoin's at 100,000. Just like that. It could happen in one day. You know, this thing has no collars. It has no one can stop it. If it goes on a run, it's not like it has circuit breakers that it can trigger, or that they can close the market and let it cool off. No, that can't happen. It will just run and run and run and run and run toward infinity until enough people say, take it, take it, take it, and enough supply comes on the market. But what if that doesn't happen? What if there's this mad dash and you and I are not willing to do that, not willing to give up our Bitcoin? It's going to run and run and run. I have experienced runaway markets that only the circuit breakers stopped them. Only the limit up, which are man-made collars on the market, only shutting the market down stopped it. Because if that didn't happen, it would run to infinity. To infinity. And so we have a market that has the ability to do that because you can't put a collar on it. You can't, there's no one that can stop it. And let me tell you this, every market in the world experiences that kind of run. The only thing that stopped them is that these markets are man-made and man-controlled. But this one's not. It's not controlled by any man. So when it has that run, and it will, it's not going to stop, guys. It's not going to stop. It's crazy. You got to be in it because you'll never catch it. You know? All right. That's it? That's all you got for me? We need a visit to Colombia to see what's happening over there with Bitcoin. Yeah, you can do that. I will tell you, though, that you want to type Colombia when you type it, referring to the country with an O, not a U, People down here don't like that. It's Colombia with an O. All right, not a U. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I like this one. Wait, what happened here? Do the Bitcoin ETFs have circuit breakers if the Bitcoin spot market runs? Actually, good question. I think they do. Yeah, because it's a market related thing, right? So yeah, which is really weird in a way. And that's why it's not Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin when you have a spot Bitcoin ETF, right? They have Bitcoin. You don't have Bitcoin. And so what they're selling you is this price exposure to Bitcoin, but you don't own it. So you don't own your own freedom, right? You have the price exposure to someone else's freedom. And so, yeah, I believe they do. And that's just going to be weird. Just imagine Bitcoin running when the markets are closed. And the ETF, you can't even do anything with the ETF until, what if it runs over the weekend and just runs and runs and runs, and it's running away from everybody and no one can stop this thing, and it's running and running, and the spot Bitcoin ETF can't trade because it's on the weekend and closed Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Monster gap to the upside. What about the people who were short this? They're going to be short. Some people are going to be short the Bitcoin ETF when that happens. It's going to, it's just crazy. It's interesting. It's interesting. Interesting world we're in right now. Okay. What stops governments from printing fiat and buying Bitcoin? Why aren't they doing this? How do you know they're not doing it? How do you know that there aren't small to medium size nation states that are doing exactly that? And we don't know. There's this wallet, right, since November, who's been buying 100 or more Bitcoin, and sometimes as much as 1,400, 1,500 Bitcoin every single day since November. Guys, hundreds of Bitcoin per day since November. It's crazy. I think it's the 16th most valuable address right now in the world. It started buying on November, and every single day, minimum 100, many cases 900, 800, 1,400, 1,200. What do you think that is? Now, I believe that has recently been identified as an exchange address in Korea, but probably acting on behalf of a nation state, right? So there could be some of that going on. And, but, it's still early, guys. Bitcoin is still small when you talk about the global scale. It's $1 trillion asset, right? It is actually still too small for your major nation states to basically kind of focus on. But with that being said, let's not forget that, let's see if I can get this. What the United States has, what? 207,000 Bitcoin, 207,000. That's what's known. Okay. So, what look at the value of that, 207,000 times 65,000. It's huge. Billions of dollars. Germany, various other European nation states. I mean, there's a lot of government owned or possessed, I should say, Bitcoin in the world today. All right. But I believe that some degree of that is happening now on your smaller to medium-sized nation states. But understand this, that from a nation state's point of view, their best way, their most self-sovereign way to acquire Bitcoin is to mine it. Do you understand? And so that's where I think you'll see nation states adopt more mining Bitcoin. As a buy it from whom, right? How would you do it without other nation states really watching? Bitcoin's an open protocol, watching your every move and what you have. Nation states don't really like that. And so the majority of nation states are going to acquire Bitcoin through mining. There's not a lot left, but still, that's just the way they're going to do it. Okay. Let's see here. See. What are UTXOs and why are they important for self-custody? UTXOs, well, UTXO stands for unspent transaction output, right? And so imagine a wallet. Imagine you have a leather wallet, and in this leather wallet, you have $1,000 in cash, okay? But it's a variety of different bills that make up the $1,000 in cash. Those bills, the individual bills, the ones, the fives, the tens, the 100s, the 20s, right? These individual bills are individual UTXOs. So let's say you have $10,000 in Bitcoin. Well, the UTXOs are the individual pieces of Bitcoin that make up that $10,000 in Bitcoin. And so that's how you should look at it. My individual bills that make up my total amount, my individual pieces of Bitcoin that make up my total amount of Bitcoin. You just don't have one giant glob or one giant UTXO. Hopefully you don't. And so, as you become a larger holder of Bitcoin and you have self-custody of those UTXOs, right? There is some management that has to go on with your UTXOs. You don't want them too tiny, and you also don't want them too big. All right. And because in the future, when the cost to acquire space on the blockchain, space on the base layer is scarce too. The cost to access that space is going to get higher over time. And if you got a UTXO that's less than the cost to transact with it or move it, then it becomes what's called Bitcoin dust. All right. So if it costs $10 to move Bitcoin, and I'm just using round numbers here, costs $10, but you've got a UTXO that's $1. And how do you spend $10 to move $1? All right. So you got to consolidate UTXOs to get to a certain size when the fees on the base layer are low. You got to do this when your fees are low, and you take all these little ones and combine them together into a bigger sized UTXO. Sometimes you might, if you have too big of a UTXO, you should chop that UTXO into 2 or 3 UTXOs like that. There's some management that has to to come into play. The rabbit hole gets deeper. Okay. Oliver, what's the best company to buy Bitcoin, not counting Swan or River? Guys, look, Cash App, I think is, a lot of people sleep on Cash App. I think Cash App is a great place to buy your Bitcoin if you have access to Cash App. All right. Fees are relatively low. You can take custody of your Bitcoin. It is a Bitcoin-centric company. So I think Cash App is one of the best places. There's Strike as well. There are right there. I will be coming out, or I'm a seed investor in a Bitcoin only app called Satoshi app. And this is something that I'm really excited about. We'll be launching or going live with this in the next month or so. And we're going to go live in a staged fashion. But you'll be able to buy Bitcoin directly. It's custodial, non-custodial, Lightning access. It's going to be cool. You're going to be able to borrow against your Bitcoin. And much to my chagrin, you'll be able to spend it with a credit card that's attached to your cash or your Bitcoin as well. So it's an all encompassing kind of like a one-stop shop for a pure 100% Bitcoiner. And you'll be hearing a lot about that soon. I'm an angel investor in the project. Okay. Yes, Strike. Do I recommend the Passport hardware wallet? I have it. Very, very solid wallet. Love the guys over there. Love the work that they've done. I know there's always been a little bit of controversy between the Passport organization and the Cold Card organization, but those are two of my favorite. I like Cold Card. I like the Foundation's Passport. I like Blockstream's Jade. All right. I love those three. All three of them. I don't think you can go wrong. All right, Bitcoin Chris, thank you. What's up with you, brother? You keep up the good work. All right. Yes, Passport also helps you consolidate your UTXOs. Absolutely. Yes. Do I invest in the miners? I play the miners. Miners are cyclical plays for us. And so we came out of the miners. We had a huge score in the miners. And it was a play from November 22nd up until not too long ago. So we scored really big with the miners. And, but I don't approach miners as this long-term investment. That's Bitcoin, right? But I will play miners from a cyclical point of view. Historically, the miners of an underlying asset, they're not the best long-term investments. They are more suited to be cyclical. So when you catch them right, the miners do outperform the underlying asset. But it also works the other way. If you catch the miners wrong, they will destroy you on the downside relative to Bitcoin's downside. So, they'll drop 3 to 5 times more than Bitcoin, but they'll also rise 3 times, 4 times more than Bitcoin if you catch them right. That's why they're cyclical plays. They're not for the unsophisticated. They're not. They're not for your average person, I'm telling you. Yes. Is Trezor still good? Yeah, it is. I don't recommend Trezor anymore. But, If you have it, you're good. You're fine, especially if you just have the Bitcoin only firmware for Trezor. So I don't, first of all, I'm Bitcoin only. You guys know me by now. And so I don't want to support anything. I just don't support anything that has their efforts, their money, their resources, their workforce dedicated to anything else other than Bitcoin. I just won't give them my business. Not going to happen. In addition to that, theoretically, at least, there's an added risk to that because there are more attack vectors in whatever product is a multi-asset product. So the security failures or the possible security failures go up by an order of magnitude when you've got 2,000 shitcoins that you support versus just Bitcoin, right? The gateways into your product is just, you increase that and, quite naturally, you increase the attack vectors as well. This is too important to be messing around. So yeah, it's Bitcoin only products or nothing. I don't even want to hear about them. Okay. Have I had a chance to check out the new signing device wallet from Jack's company? No, I haven't, but I do have it on my list to do that. And I think from what I've heard, it's a great start for people that just want to get into they're just starting to get into the self-custody stage of their Bitcoin journey. So I just think from what I've heard, it's going to be an invaluable device and service for that layer. You will ultimately want to graduate from that at some point, but from what I've heard, it's a great starting point. It's better than having it sitting on an exchange, your Bitcoin sitting on exchange, that's for sure. Cold card, that is sort of like the Bitcoin standard for Bitcoin OGs, at least. Mohammed, good to see you here, brother. Mohammed says there are rumors that Saudi Aramco is mining Bitcoin for Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. My sources told me who work at Saudi Aramco. I would not doubt that. Guys, I would not doubt that every major oil company in the world is mining Bitcoin. Like, why would you not be doing that? Why would you be flaring gas and just wasting that when you can turn that into a monetary good? Like, you should just be wasted. And now you can just point that you used to throw in the air and point that to Bitcoin, the rarest asset in the world, the hardest money in the world. Like, every oil company is mining, guys. Every single one. I may not want it to be publicly known so much, but every single one. What? Let's see. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Even the NASDAQ has this now. Like, this is crazy. Let me show you. I'll show you this. These public oil companies are joining forces with Bitcoin miners to reshape the industry. All right. And it's like major oil companies. Look at Exxon in 2021. Exxon's mining Bitcoin. Chevron's mining Bitcoin. Marathon Oil is mining Bitcoin. Many of your oil companies internationally are mining Bitcoin. They're all mining, guys, all of them. There's no reason for them not to. It's stupid for them actually not to. Or where every major oil producer is mining Bitcoin. Now, I think that crazy. Exxon is mining Bitcoin in North Dakota as part of its plan to slash emissions. See what I'm saying? They're all doing it, guys. All of them in the entire world. You're not even going to let another oil miner do it without you. They're doing it and we're not doing it. Psst, not going to happen. They're all mining. Crazy, right? Watch what they do, not what they say. Watch what they do, not what they say. Qatar, absolutely. This is crazy too, right? Oman, I think this is going to be one of largest. And they always say crypto. I hate when they do that, but we all know it's a Bitcoin. The heck is this? Yeah. 1.1 billion, $1.1 billion investment on Bitcoin mining infrastructure. Now, guys, what's really fascinating about this, right? What's really fascinating about this, I'll show you. That's really fascinating, is the miners are your ultimate insiders. Now, see, in my space, in the financial world, there was a period of time where it's a little bit less so, but still it's focused on. We would keep track of what all the key insiders of a company were doing. And while their sells had an importance, it was nothing like their buys. So when you're tracking the insider activity in a publicly traded company from a key insider, not just any insider, a key insider, the board members, upper management, CEOs, vice presidents, and things of that nature, right? You would track their buys and sells, but the buys were far more important than the sells. And because there is only one reason for an insider to buy, they know. Do you understand? Like you can sell for myriad reasons. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like selling is you could have, like, I've got twin girls that are about to graduate, right? So if I sold some of my company stock, it could just be because I want to have this big giant graduation thing for my twin girls. So it can be so many different reasons that an insider sells, but there can only be one reason that an insider buys, right? One. They know. The insiders know more than anyone on earth about what's going on, what's coming down the pipeline, what deals are about to be made and signed. You understand? They know more than anybody. So the buying is huge, hugely important. In Bitcoin, your insiders are your miners. When you have mining companies putting up billions, you saw 1.1 billion. This is going to take a full 3 years for it to fully come online. They'll bring it online in stages. So late 2024, second quarter 2024, a small portion will come online. And then, 6 months later, another portion will come online. It's going to take 3 years to fully get that operational. What must that mean? Think about it. Insiders buying, they can't possibly think that they're going to be profitable for 5 years. You think their future outlook is bleak? Putting up that kind of money now, maybe profitability comes in 5 or 6 years down the line. These insiders see what's happening. They see what's coming down the line. They know more than anyone else about how Bitcoin works, the state of the industry. They're the insiders. And so when you see them buying, it's far more important, or buying it in the Bitcoin space, buying is putting money into the Bitcoin mining operation. That's buying, right? When you see miners buying 500 million here, 1.1 billion there, these things take years to be profitable. They see what's happening. They see where things are going, and they're so confident about it that they're willing to put billions on the line. This is crazy. All right. It's in our faces. It's in our faces. All right. All right. All right, guys. So I just wanted to pop on here and 1,500. See, guys, I just get more people when it's video. Some of you realize this. I've done like 2 surveys. Do my lives? Some which ones do you prefer? The first one I got overwhelmingly, Oliver. All right, we like you. We like to see your face, but please do the audio. I like to multitask, and I'm not interested in looking at an image. Twitter is a text-oriented thing, so audio and text. That's it. But the numbers just are far different when it's video. I'll be lucky if I'll get 600 or 700 people on an audio broadcast. So it's really interesting. I'll still mix them up, of course, but. All right, guys, listen, thank you all for popping in. Not too many questions tonight, but that's okay. That is okay. I'm good with that. Listen, you know what to do. Don't forget, our window is truly disappearing, closing on us. All right, go to work, stack harder. You know what to do. We've got 32 days left. Bitcoin becomes the hardest money the world has ever known, the hardest asset in the history of mankind. This is meaningful, guys. This is meaningful. All right, do your thing. Ciao for now. Boom.